Everybody wants to fit in, right? In society, we follow trends, whether it's clothes, music, even diets recently. Everybody wanted to be on keto, counting carb, all this kind of stuff. And, that's true in entertainment too, whether it's movies, TV, things like that. But the video game industry is, no stranger to trends too. So today I want to kind of go over what trends have I seen in the last, let's say, 10 years and where do I see the future of the gaming industry headed? Which one of these trends is going to actually last? Which ones are going to fall off? Which ones become, a main staple in the industry? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and let's get right into it. So the first trend I wanted to go over was these movie and TV adaptations. So video games aren't new to this. We've had the Street Fighter movie back in the day, Mortal Kombat, even Super Mario Brothers. So listen, all those movies weren't the greatest, Resident Evil. But as of late, we've been seeing a lot of great adaptations. So Detective Pikachu was considered really good. Mortal Kombat was, I thought it was okay. Last of Us is getting rave reviews. We got the Mario movie. We've even gotten announcements from Netflix. They're picking up a Gears of War movie or TV show, which is, I love Gears of War, so that I think is going to be really good. And we've even seen Amazon has picked up God of War to do a God of War show. So how well that will do, we'll have to see. But, it's definitely a trend that is picking up. People are seeing it's profitable. You've seen The Last of Us, all the sales spiked for the game, especially for the PS5 version that just came out. People was getting the second one because they wanted to see what was going on. Listen, even me, the show was out and I was like, all right, I started it a year ago. Let me actually finish it. So I finished it, finished the show, loved it, loved comparing it. Go watch that video where I actually compare the show and the game. And then I bought the second one for $10. I just bought it. It's crazy how that affects people. It's one of those water cooler situations. Everybody's talking about it, and it's great to see. I love cross media, pollination, where something can be great as a book and then become a good movie, or something could be a video game, and they just do it justice. So I don't see this trend stopping anytime soon. Next up on the list is, again, nothing new, but we're seeing it more and more, and that is remakes and remasters. So a lot of people try to say, hey, what's the difference? I'm going to do a whole video on that. So but for right now, remakes and remasters they're just plentiful. It's kind of like, as technology kind of, I don't say slows down, but there's only so much they can do as far as graphics and things like that on these systems. So it starts coming down to quality, frame rate, storytelling, things like that. And people are taking advantage of these install bases, the high demand for, the PlayStation, Game Pass on the Xbox, 120 million people having Nintendo Switches. We're seeing remakes and remasters everywhere. We've seen Final Fantasy VII remake. We've seen Metroid Prime remastered. We've seen Dead Space remake. We've seen Resident Evil 4 remake. We're seeing these so often that it's just going to keep happening. We're now at 20 years removed from the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox era, and a lot of those games were, some of them have aged well, some haven't, and it just makes sense. Hey, let's remaster these games, let's put them back out. People love them, people will buy it again. Yeah, it makes money, but it's also it's just a good project. A lot of these developers love to revisit these, or it gives the new developers a chance to dive into a game that they grew up on and be able to remake it and put their whole spin on it. So remakes and remasters definitely here to stay. Next up, I got open world games. And what I mean by open world games isn't just, hey, you can drive around here or fly there or anything like that. It's this new, people are kind of comparing every game to Breath of the Wild recently, but it's basically a lot of these large games that just have, you open a map and you just got 80 million different icons, and you gotta filter this and know where to go here and all that. And again, this isn't new, but it's just gone up like crazy over the last few years. Like, we've seen people kind of clamoring for, like, let's say Assassin's Creed, right? They've wanted the original, actual assassination stealth part of it. It's kind of turned into a giant RPG action open world game with a million icons on it. Horizon Forbidden West. You know, God of War has a linear story, but it also has, you know, you kind of have the freedom to go around and do these different things. Again, just a million tasks on the map. Cyberpunk 2077, which I'm playing now, and you know, there's nothing wrong with it. For some people, it's just, you know, it's the type of games they like. For some people, they don't really have time for all of it. You know, I'm one of those people. It's kind of like you got to play one at a time, or like you play it and then mix in a shorter game with it. Like I'll play Cyberpunk and I'll play like Astral Chain or like a platformer just to, you know, break up the monotony a little bit. But the big open world games, listen, as budgets get bigger and, you know, companies keep getting funded for these things, where these aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Speaking of games that aren't going anywhere anytime soon, this trend may be going away in mass. So games as a service, and what I mean by games as a service is I kind of lump all these things together. So games as a service along with, you know, free to play / you know, skins and booster packs and microtransaction, that stuff. So do I think that'll go away as a whole? No, I don't. It makes too much money. But I do believe companies will stop trying to do it in mass. You know, we've seen a million games just either go off out of nowhere. We've seen Crossfire X, Rumbleverse, Knockout City, all these big games that, you know, supposedly was making a bunch of money, but they're just shutting down. It's like there's too many of them. Like they demand too much of your attention. It's not the same as like a single player game where people are like, okay, you know, I'm gonna hop in, I'm gonna do this many chapters, or I did this part of the story, okay, I'm good. Oh, DLC came back, let me hop back in. It's like you have to keep people's attention. There's only so much time and attention that people have to spare. You got the top dogs, which is like Fortnite, Destiny, you know, Warzone, all that, Apex, PUBG, and then you got the other stuff that, you know, it'll get some people in there. You might get a big turnout the first, you know, few months or even the first year, but then eventually it's like you gotta keep up with the content, you gotta keep updating this, you gotta, like, it's tough, bro. There's so much things drawing our attention nowadays. It's not like back in the day. You know, you got, you know, media is all competing against each other. You got streaming services, movies, video games, parties. You like, there's so much going on. TikTok, like social media, like there's too much that the games as a service or live service thing, it can only exist for a select few. So, you know, I've never really played any of these games. I played Warzone a little bit. I've seen other games trying to add it in, like Halo's learning right now. Halo Infinite is learning, like, to have a free-to-play game, you gotta have them updates, and they're not used to it, and it sucks. But I don't know. I think, again, it will probably be those top 5, like I mentioned, or, you know, Genshin Impact, I guess, is mobile. I don't know if it's live service as well, but besides those, I say every other company just steer clear. Just stay away from it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have indie games, and indie games have been around for, you know, a while, right? Like these smaller companies that they have a passion project, they put something together, but now we're seeing, you know, with the likes of, you know, Steam and Game Pass and all these other things, these bigger companies are actually investing in these small indies. You know, some of these are getting nominated for Game of the Year awards and stuff. Like we had Hades and Hades 2 about to come out this year. We had Tunic last year. We had Cult of the Lamb. We had Death's Door. We had a bunch of these indies games that are having, you know, small budget. Even Chained Echoes is like, I haven't finished it. I've played it a little bit, but that's a JRPG made by one person. It took them 6 years, but a lot of people are looking forward to that, and it's, you know, it's great to see. I love the indie games, and even, you know, companies being empowered to make smaller games, even if they're not an indie game, they get to make an indie style type game due to, you know, Game Pass and other subscription services. So, you know, I like this trend. I like that they're able to do, you know, partnerships. They don't necessarily have to get bought out. They can do contract work with the bigger companies and stuff like that. So I love seeing it. They you know, they're not stuck to any corporate overlords and all this kind of stuff. They get to make games, bro. They get to make the games they love, and we get to enjoy it. So I love this trend, and I'm happy to see it keep going. Speaking of Game Pass, so subscription services. So this was bound to happen, right? Like, we've seen it with everything. Netflix, HBO Max, Peacock, everyone has a subscription service. So even with gaming, we had, you know, Gamefly and Redbox and stuff like that. So, you know, every system's kind of has its own different subscription service and different, you know, value to it. Nintendo has Nintendo Switch Online, and they have, you know, Game Boy and Super Nintendo, N64, stuff like that through emulators, right? Then Game Pass, you have all the first party Xbox games is on there forever, right? It's not leaving. You get it day one, brand new games. You get to get the games on discount if you want to buy them for when your subscription ends. Great. Then you got PlayStation Plus. They got, you know, essential tier, extra tier, whatever the top tier is, and they got different, you know, perks in there as well. So it's really cool to see. I know a lot of people don't like it, but, you know, I think, you know, you kind of just got to take from gaming and life, not to get corny, but you got to just take like what works for you. You know, some people it's, you know, for me, I'll have some digital games if it's cheap. I got physical, especially on the Nintendo Switch. I got Xbox Game Pass. I don't really care about PlayStation Plus that much, but, you know, the option is there. So I like this. I like that they're not all the same. I still think Game Pass is the best one. People would argue they're only able to do that because they don't have the exact cachet or back catalog that Sony and Nintendo have, but, you know, it is what it is. But subscription services, obviously, it's in everything. Movies, TV, video games is no different. And then to go along with subscription services, we're talking digital versus physical games. So I did a whole video on this. Make sure you check it out. On the differences between, you know, digital, physical, the pros and cons, how you want to purchase your game. So we've seen, like, for Nintendo specifically, they're still around like 50-50 as far as digital sales and physical sales. You know, people have seen the value of keeping your physical games as we head into this digital era, you know, having the flexibility to do with the games what you want, the value of the games going up for previous systems like the DS and GameCube and stuff like that. So Nintendo's a little different. Xbox and PlayStation, I think it's way skewed, especially Xbox. It's like 90-10 or like 85-15 or something like that. So it's a little different. We also seen them come out with two different models. Like, they have the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, which was an all digital system, less powerful but still pretty good. And PlayStation did the same thing. They had the disc version and the digital version. Most people was like, hey, I'm gonna just get the digital version. It's $100 cheaper. I only download digital games anyway. Let me have at it. So for me, for Nintendo, I don't think they'll go away from physical anytime soon. Maybe 2 more generations, or they'll just have smaller prints of games. Xbox and PlayStation, I honestly think this might be the last one. This, whatever is next, the PS6 and all that, we may not even have, or you gotta buy an attachment to do the DVDs or CDs, kind of like how they had on Xbox 360 back in the day. But yeah, it's kind of going out of here, especially Xbox. They got Game Pass, cloud. As soon as they get cloud actually working, I think it's over for physical. But yeah. And then last up, you know, also looking towards the future is NFTs, everyone's favorite acronym. So remember during COVID, when everybody was buying NFTs and crypto and metaverse, and that's the future and all that. So people have seen, you know, different job postings or even mentionings from Square Enix and different things like Sony's State of Play. They mentioned these new digital collectibles, and we're kind of seeing, you know, the footwork being put in now. They're not going to call it NFTs, but we're going to see a lot of digital assets and things like that going across video games, especially I can see Sony specifically spearheading this, especially since they're supposed to have these like 10 new live service games or whatever in the future coming from Bungie. And due to how popular Destiny 2 is, I can see them coming up with, you know, special weapons and skins and stuff like that you can trade with people. And I don't know if they can make real currency involved in it. Then you get into the whole trouble with like gambling and loot boxes and how do you actually attain it. And I don't know, we'll see. But NFTs, I think, are some type of digital asset. It's going to make its way into gaming pretty soon. I give it 2 years at the minimum. And that pretty much does it. That's that's what I feel like the trends for video game, the whole industry for the last, let's say, 10 years. Where do I see it going? Things like that. Y'all let me know. Did I hit the nail on the head? Was there something I missed? Was I wrong about something? Y'all let me know. Leave a like. Definitely leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.